Okay, so it's time to start our live show. And so I am Mark Spess, and so we're going to start the show off with some news. And so Hoser Lou posted this on our site, and it says here that Festival Stop Motion Montreal is the world's longest running festival, and it's the 11th edition, which runs September 16th to 22nd. And of course, we talked about this last week, but the theme is called Stop Motion in a Digital Age, which is something that, wow. So the digital age has been around since like Jurassic Park 1. I think that's when things kind of took a turn there, which Phil Tippett, of course, he's going to be one of the people there. We'll probably talk about. And so there's actually some really great videos out there of Phil talking about the digital age with regards to stop motion, and also how stop motion, he says, went extinct when he saw Dennis Muren's first test for I think it was it wasn't the T-Rex, it was like the like Dinomimus or whatever those ones are called, where they're like running around in a herd. And that was just like the nail in the coffin, so to speak, because that was something that stop motion, on its own has a hard time doing with the technology that we had at that very point. So, like today, we could probably pull off one of those herd sequences. In fact, it has been done. Let me see here. So, Peter Montgomery, I guess, is one of the people that on Dark Earth might have some herd sequences, if I recall. And also, he started that with me in the final film. But he did a lot of tests showing flying creatures and like spiders running sort of in a dusty world environment, and people trying to shoot them and whatnot. So very Ray Harryhausen-esque with regards to that. But so this is going to be, let's see, so this year the festival welcomes Phil Tippett, a legendary stop-motion visual effects artist who has been working for several years on the short film series Mad God. There's like a mosquito in here. Oh, I got it. Oh, sorry, mosquito. It says here, so the 3 episodes of Mad God will be presented in addition to its visual or virtual reality version. So this is really cool. And so, we were mentioning this last time, that the virtual reality version, I don't know how it's going to work, if that's going to be like a 360-degree thing where you can interact with these characters. But this is what is really exciting to me, because I think virtual reality is, so much more immersive when you're standing in front of something that is like a... so I play a lot of VR chat, as I mentioned in the past, but there's a kind of sense of something being there in virtual reality, or even in like 3D, right? So if you see a 3D movie, it's kind of like that, but you're in it. So if we can do that with stop motion, that would be awesome, honestly speaking. But I don't know how that's really possible to do. So that's this is like groundbreaking stuff. So Rod is here, and let's see here. So he says, I don't think the creature in those herd sequences will be in Dark Earth, but maybe they were considered in the early stages. Ah, okay. I was kind of wondering about that. So anyways, information about the Festival Stop Motion Montreal can be found here. And so this is a Cartoon Brew article, which hosts will link to. And kind of goes over, I think, pretty much everything. This is... it's not a very long article. But their main website is... Let's see here. They actually link to it. Okay, here it is. So for tickets and whatnot, again, we did talk about this, but stopmotionmontreal.com is the site. And you can see here their lineup We got photos and whatnot, but a lot of this is in French. So if it comes up that way for you, there's a link up here somewhere. Oh, okay, so it's actually in English. First time I went here, it was in French, and I clicked it. But yeah, you can get the French version. Because a lot of people out there in Canada are from France originally, and so a lot of them speak that language. But if it does come up that way for you, just click up here. Learn from my mistakes there. So yes, armatures. There's so many kinds of armatures you can buy these days. You know, you can make your own from wire. You can make ball and socket. There's even 3D printed armature parts out there I found recently on Thingiverse. Thingiverse is a web page which you can look up quite a number of things. And I think I typed in, yeah, it was Claymation. And somebody had posted that you can 3D print all these parts, which are like sandwich joints. And these are super simple designs. However, this is something that might actually work. I don't know if anybody's made any of these, but you can see here, here's the sandwich joints and the balls. Now the design here is not very good, I have to say. They're probably too thin, and these should be rounded on these edges and so forth. But there's other designs as well. So this here, again, not a great design, but if you have a 3D printer, this is something that might work if you're on a budget. So you can put your screw through there and your ball through the center. Not sure what diameter though. That's one of those things that it doesn't really say. There's no summary here really to speak of. But I think one day somebody may end up making something like this, and that's kind of cool because you can if there's especially like for metal 3D printers, those would be cool because you could just like literally 3D print sandwich joints and maybe machine them a little bit and you're good to go. But yeah, there's a few things on here, like here's Clayman. Somebody made a Clayman from Neverhood. It's another one. Pretty cool design too. Like somebody put a lot of time into that to reproduce him, as well as Wallace and Gromit. Let's check out stop motion real quick. See what they've got. Stop motion tracks, an iPod, iPhone stand for stop motion, a cart for stop motion animation tracks. That's pretty good. We've got jointed robots, things like that. So there are things on here. Here's a camera phone stand, which would work for stop motion as well. You can see somebody put like is that a toy or a puppet? Let's see here. Their site is always so slow. But this is something that's good to do, right? Make sure your camera is steady. What's going on, Randy? Alright, so we got Amy, Ron, and Randy. Actually, that's not Amy. I'm not sure the name of that person, but that's his mom's account. That's what he told me. So my apologies there. We'll just call him Mr. Scott for now. But anyways, there's so much stuff on Thingiverse that's helpful, but not a real lot of stop motion stuff, to be honest, which is a little surprising because for rigs and things like that, there's so many things you can do with 3D printing. Yeah, you can do the face masks. That's right, replacement faces. You can make props. Pretty much, I mean, anything. Anything that's hard, but I think that it's really good mostly for rigs, to be honest. Ah, okay, so Zeke. What's going on, Zeke? Okay, so anyways, guys, so tonight's show I don't really have much lined up. Today, so I do want to announce that there will probably only be about two more shows after this, live shows. So I am super stretched thin, or stretched super thin lately. So my son is going to be doing some after school stuff, which he's going to do every Wednesday and on, let's see, on Mondays too, looks like. And he's going to do this thing called, what is this? It's called Club Encore for his school. And so he needs a little extra help with a tutor to kind of get him through the year. So that's one of the things that's kind of another thing that I had to do. And it's just been so busy for me lately that I feel that I can't really put everything I want into the live show like I could before. So, and plus YouTube has also changed a lot as well over the years. And so I guess, how many years have I been doing the live show? Like maybe, I'm gonna say, yeesh, 6 years every single Wednesday. And so we had our show on, what was that called? It was like livestream.com, and then we had switched to YouTube. And Livestream went from free to paid, and then now YouTube is not allowing me to really show a lot of videos like I used to before. And so I think, like the other episode, they actually just took it completely offline after I was done because I showed a music video, and they're just like, yep, you can't show this. So they took it off, and so it's just kind of like frustrating trying to, like, I want to do things a certain way, and I really can't with YouTube right now. And so, like I say, I don't know if I want to continue like with YouTube, and it's just not gonna. I mean, I can't really make it what I want it. That's what I'm trying to say. And also, I've been pretty busy as well. My sculpting business is really taking off lately. Actually, let me show you guys what I do here real quick. Let me first do this. So I don't really talk about my sculpting business too often. But so I do a lot of digital sculpting on the side, and as of late I've just been in demand for making more sculptures. So and I've also been doing a lot of stuff for like museums. So here we have Art Carney, and I finished him up just the other week. And so I'm working on the final Honeymooners character, his wife in the TV show. And what's really cool is that all of these characters are from the Honeymooners. Did I actually upload her? Let me see. So here's Audrey Meadows, and I sculpted her. And you can see her here after one of my what's that now? Oh, you have a DeviantArt page. Gotcha. Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, DeviantArt is a good site too. ArtStation and DeviantArt are some of the nicest places to visit. Serenity says, in the past couple of days, I shot the first 12 seconds of my new film. Whoa. Haven't animated clay in almost 2 years, having a ball. Wow, that's amazing. 12 seconds already? That's great. Is this the park bench, Randy, that you were showing? I'm pretty sure it is, right? But so I've been working really hard on all of these characters, and just trying to improve my skills in sculpting. And so a lot of people are I'm really in demand now. So tonight we went to my sister's house, and she's having her house renovated. So they have like the whole backyard is dug out. There's like a hole, and they're also like making an office space. So they're gonna extend the house, put an office in there, and like a fish tank and all this kind of stuff. And I've been so busy, and when I went out there, so my father, I, and my son, we all went there to kind of move all this heavy these heavy boxes for her. And when we were done, I'm like, what's today? And they're like, oh, it's Wednesday. I'm like, oh, I have a live show to do. I can't stay here. And so I had to leave, and everybody had to, go home or whatever. And I realized that, I've been working on so many different projects for so many people, um, that it's kind of interfering with, family time and stuff like that. So, so pretty much, that's where I am right now. And I think with the live show, since I can't really do what I want with it, I'm probably going to put it on hiatus after 2 more weeks. So let's see. So next week we're going to have our feedback week. And so let's see. I'm not sure how you say his name. DJ AVH Diav, perhaps. So he posted here that he has a 23-minute long horror comedy that was done in claymation, which is really cool. So I haven't clicked this yet, but we are going to watch that on the 11th. So that will be next week. And then I want to do a recording with Terry Eibel. So if you guys go to our main page and look down here, you'll see that I have a animation industry podcast link. And so if you click on this, it goes to his blog. And so he does a lot of clay animation himself, and he's a college student. I think he's like maybe, I'm going to say 22 or so. And I did actually do a recording with his for his podcast a few weeks ago, which is online, and which you can find down here. And so anyway, to return the favor, I want to make my the last live show with him, because that way people can find his podcast, because he has a lot of great interviews on here with people explaining how they make stop motion films and sort of their struggles to create studios and things. And a lot of us can relate to that. And he's got a lot more time than I do and can put more effort and just make more quality podcasts. And so I thought this would be kind of a good substitute podcast for everybody while we're away. And it doesn't mean that we won't do more live shows in the future. So I'm not like killing off the live show portion, but just for now it's going to be on hiatus. What else? So yeah, I don't know, guys. I mean, it's just been a long run, and I'm not really sure if if too many people will miss the live show, because it's been like I say, like I used to do it where the live show we would watch all kinds of videos on YouTube that I find, and now I can't do that. So I think most of you guys kind of feel probably the same way. Like the quality is just not going to be there. It's not as fun, of course. So let's see here. So Randy says, meme, or Amy, Zeke says, meme life is good. And oh, so it does happen in the park. Cool. I'm currently resculpting a character to sit on that bench. That's cool. And it's going to be a comedy, I take it, as well. So Randy says, I made 12 seconds in a couple of days, because the first four secs are titled, and the rest is very quick and simple animation to start. Now getting into some tricky stuff. Well, that's going to be good, I'm sure, in the end. But don't give it away. Don't give it away. So Zeke says, I was thinking of putting a bandage on the character for clothes and making face masks out of clay and draw the eyes and mouth and glue it on the faces. Alright, so let me get this straight. So bandages. That's okay. I see what you're saying. So what you're saying is you're going to make perhaps like a polymer clay face that's hard, right? And then so you'll have to have some double-sided like label paper. So if you're going to do that, that would be what I would suggest. I would like draw the eyes and stuff on there, and then use like a black pen to ink over the like the eyelashes or you know, the pupils and whatnot, and make replacements that you can pop off and stick on. That would probably be okay. But actually, you know what? Probably the better thing would be, so instead of drawing the eyes, why don't you take like a little ball, like some Delrin balls or glass beads, and put them in there, and then for blinks and stuff, you can use little pieces of clay. That's probably going to be a lot nicer than sticking it on, right? And Ron says, I remember when Terry first came online on SMA.com when he posted a lot of crazy stuff. Yeah, he's got the Fish King video. Let me see if I can show you guys. Oh, does these links work? Yes, it does. Does this go to the right place, though? It does not. Or does it? Oh, okay. So he's got his podcasts. And if you scroll down... Yeah, so it's Terry Mation. You scroll down, and then you can see they've got like... so Sea King, Test 1, Final Scene 1, and whatnot. These are all not... these are all like tests, but there's one. I think it's this one. Fish King Final Scene might be the one I'm thinking of. I can show you guys this one. I don't think there's any audio that I can get copyright strike from, but here's one of his little tests. And the animation is great. Super smooth, right? So that's stop motion axolotl and snail. This here is, I think, like a slow motion, or no, these are the mess ups. Oh, meme life is good as your DeviantArt. I gotcha. Maybe I can bring that up for you. Hold on a minute here. After this, we'll bring that up. So these are all really great poses, and it's really cool. He's got like a C-stand where he's using that to animate him. The only thing that I don't really like that he's done here is he doesn't have tie downs. I think he's got magnets in the feet, and perhaps there is some sort of magnet underneath the table holding his feet down, but they kind of slide around a bit. I'm not sure what kind of armature that is. Maybe that's like a... It seems to be like it's nickel plated. It's really shiny. If you look at it. Not sure like where you can buy those. But it seems to work really well. I mean, the beginning animation especially is really smooth here. And it's too bad he didn't erase his rig and whatnot, just to kind of do some final polishing on it. That's great though. Alright, so DeviantArt. And then it is Meme Life is Good. Okay. Let's see. Well, let's just go to DeviantArt. See if I can find it here. Ron is saying that C-stand is a pain to animate on. I've done it, and every frame begs too much. Yeah, that is the hard way to go about it. All right. Well, let's see. Here we go. Very cool. This is your corner of the internet. cool. So let's click on some of your designs here. Concept art number 1. So Zeke, Makalia, and Levi. It's pretty good designs, you know. So you're thinking of making that like a hard sort of head, and then perhaps so these eyes are pretty stylized. So I mean that might work if you use cutouts, like you're saying. Yeah. All right. Very nice. I mean, yeah, you can use cutouts for that for sure. That would look pretty good. That would be simple too, and pretty easy. Making something easy to animate, people don't realize that something that is done more simply is sometimes a lot better, because you spend less time trying to, like in clay animation, you would resculpt the face over and over, and the result is really good, but the amount of work that it takes, sometimes you get distracted by the technical aspects of moving things, and you can't really put as much character into your puppets in that way. Not in all cases, but in a lot of cases. The Toby's Origins. Alright. So similar designs, right? We got same 3 characters. Very cool, very cool. So this is almost like a comic slash storyboard here, looks like. Yeah, that's how it works. You know, this is a good start. I mean, if you can draw your stuff on paper and visualize it, that's, you know, you've gotten past a huge barrier. It's very nice. So DeviantArt looks different to me than usual. I think they've changed stuff around, haven't they? So I was here not long ago, and it seems like the whole design is, or layout has changed. But let's see if we can. Let's just do a quick stop motion search here. Ooh, lots of cool stuff here. Click on this. Geeky Spirits Conspiring. I don't have Flash on my computer. Let's see if I can click on anything else. There we go. Those would make some very interesting stop motion puppets. Now, these are definitely the more complicated designs I've ever seen for a puppet, and all this fur might be an issue for whoever animates them. But wow, that's great. Look at this. That is really amazing. Wouldn't you guys like to see that move around? Oop, I click this wrong thing. So Kanya Boz. www.anyabozartist.com. That is so neat. Some sort of like forest spirit creatures or something. I mean, your imagination just kind of runs when you see this stuff. Like, you can imagine all sorts of scenarios and stories and, you know, even lighting situations to make this more mysterious. You know, you can just, yeah, your mind goes crazy with it. So you recently made another drawing. Okay. And what did you make? Was it more puppet designs, or? See what else they might have on here. This almost looks like the cat with hands. I don't know if you guys have seen that. It's really creepy. This one's just called Persian Cat. Wow. pretty fantastic. I like how they transition from hands to like fur, and it's almost like smoke in a sense. So, you know, from smooth to furry like that, that's really hard to do. This looks great. Yeah. Not sure about this pig, but this one here is really good. Wow. It looks alive, doesn't it? I mean, when a puppet looks alive like that, and you haven't animated it, it's just, I can't really think of anything better than that. Look at that. Let me see here. So, alright. So these are room guardians. Protects one's home from negative spirits and energies. So there is a story behind it, but I'm wondering if... so it says here, the face was sculpted in polymer clay. The rest of the sculpts are cast in resin for durability, including the horns. And it has a wire armature and the ears posed with a ball and socket joint. So technically you could animate them in stop motion, but I guess they're not really meant for that. It's not their main purpose, I guess. So I guess there's no films that were made with this, unless the initial Adobe Flash video that they had, which I can't load, was animated. That'd be cool to see. Another cat. Looks like he's ready to do some kung fu there. Wow, it's really cool. They really look alive. And it seems like this person lives on the edge of the woods, which kind of is like a great background for the puppets. And wow. I'm wondering if they use real fur or if this is some sort of synthetic. Okay, sure. See what you've come up with here. Ah, okay. Ah, that's pretty cool. So we got Zeke, Bakalia, Levi, Cindy, I think, and London. Let's make it bigger. So when you're making these puppets, what are you thinking in terms of the armature? Will it be mostly wire, or do you think ball and socket? Because I mean, I would think wire would be pretty smart because it's a lot of characters. So if you're on a budget, that's what I would go with. So have you let's see here. So you've got the colors as well. So we got different blues, orange, black. Very nice, very nice. Let's go back here. I see. So I can see some of the characters in the back as well. Got the same orange clothing and whatnot. So it would be action figures. Okay, that's pretty smart. So if you're going to use action figures, so the heads on these are actually pretty large. So I would definitely try to use, before you sculpt the head, I would probably go with using like a ball of aluminum foil that you take a hammer and you sort of smash into the correct shape before you add your polymer clay to that. You're going to want to keep those heads as light as you can, if possible, of course. The other way might be, let's see. So if you're going to have the heads that large, maybe making them out of... I mean, technically you could carve them out of something like balsa wood and then coat them with an epoxy, like a two-part epoxy painted on there to make a shell. And then you could, of course, like spray paint that and whatnot. But I think probably the best way would be with the polymer clay for now. What's cool about polymer clay is once you sculpt it, so if you bake it and it's kind of rough, you want it to be smooth, you can take all kinds of sandpaper. You can also paint it with pretty much anything. You can use spray paints, acrylic paints. You can airbrush it if you have one, or just paint it with the paintbrush. The other tip I might give you is if you use acrylic craft paints. One of the things that I always try to do if I paint something is to thin the paint down with water until it's really thin and then do lots of light washes over it. So if you don't want to have, like for example, lots of brush strokes in there, so if the paint is too thick, you'll see brush lines on there. And thinning it down helps a lot. But you got to do lots of thin coats with it. And then I would also recommend, so if you're going to be using, like you said, some sort of stickers, like stick-on label paper that you draw the eyes on there, and then you outline them with ink, and you cut it out with a razor blade, and you stick it on there. One of the problems you'll probably come across is that when you stick the eyes or the mouth on there and then peel it off, you might peel off the paint underneath. So one of the things that might be a good idea, if possible, is to spray paint the outside with a flat or matte spray paint coat. Something like Crystal Clear from Krylon. And Ron is saying sculpt large rigid parts out of freeform air from Smooth On. Let me see if I can bring that up. So yeah, it's a great idea, Ron. Now, if that's in his budget, of course, this is the stuff that he's talking about. So Ron says it's a super light resin clay that gives you lots of sculpting time. The finished product is amazingly light, which is very true. Ah, so you're going to make separate faces altogether. I see. Wow, so that would complicate things. So it's definitely more complicated than I thought you were getting at. So if you're going to do that with a kind of mask, I mean, there's a lot of ways to do that. So separate faces. So maybe you could try the method I used. Let me do something real quick. Let's go over to here. So on my Zombie Pirate Tales project, that's something that I did where I made replacement mouths and things for my characters. Let's go to the gallery. So, like Thomas the Tank, I see. Let's go through here. So, I will tell you how I did it, and maybe you can do it this way too. However, it might be a bit on the heavy side because I use clay. So maybe Ron knows like of a lightweight epoxy to do this. But here you can see... Do I have a picture of the mold is the question. Okay, so here's the process. So I would cut the face, cut it up, and so the mouth part I would cut off, the lower part. Then I made a mold, right? So I made a neutral mouth, made the mold here. This is actually just a mold box. So this is a foam core and hot glue. It's glued onto some acrylic. And then I've got a mustache as well that I molded here. So what I did is I made this box around everything, and I poured silicone inside, and so I had the head, the mouth, and the mustache. Oops. Oh, I need to click the X, not that. So when I did that, let me go here. There we go. So you can see that, you know, these mouths, I basically took the neutral mouth and I cast it in clay by melting it and pouring it into the silicone, and then I popped it out after it was frozen in the freezer, and I would modify each one, you know, different mouth shapes, and then it would stick on the original head because it was cut off of it, if that makes sense. So like this here. So I cut the bottom part off, and then I made a neutral face, which I think was, which one? This one here in the center. And I cast multiples and then altered each one, and then I would stick it right on the bottom of the original head and smooth out the seam line to blend the two together. Oh, you're not thinking of making the mouths move. Okay. Okay. So what are you thinking? Like maybe different expressions, or maybe I'm misunderstanding. So the bodies will be action figures, right? But you'll have separate faces. Yeah. So maybe you can explain a little bit. So I think Thomas the Tank didn't really talk, right? So they would kind of do a thing where he would be surprised, and then they would do a crossfade, right? Am I right about that? From an initial like happy expression to a surprised expression or something like that. It's been a really long time since I've seen that, but maybe that's what you're thinking. Okay. Let's do this. Maybe original. Oh, I gotta mute this because I will be copyright striked for this. See if we can see some expression changes here. Yeah, sure. I mean, if you ever post some pictures, that would be cool. Did something similar. Let's see here. What was it that he used that on? So the fairy tales. I think these probably are a good illustration of what that looked like. Let's see. See if we can find one. Close-ups. Yeah, see what I mean? So this is what I was kind of talking about. So the characters have this thing where Ray would change out the expressions, and instead of animating, you know, lots of movements per second. So of course, when you're recording it, you're animating on 24 frames per second. And a lot of animators, when they do dialogue and that kind of thing, are constantly changing the faces out. But Ray would just kind of make a mask, I guess, and he would change it only when the character felt a certain way, and then they would have the narrator sort of, you know, this is what you know, this character is doing, and he's gonna do this and do that, and it's gonna go here and go there, and then oh my gosh, it was a horrible thing, and then so like there she's in love and she's smiling, and then oh, they faded out on that one, but that's a general idea. It's pretty neat. Oh, okay. But yeah, these old animations, it's kind of true that there's nothing really new out there. A lot of the things that have been solved in stop motion in the 1940s and even earlier are still used today. And a lot of times, us new animators or people who have, who are new, come up with solutions, and they're like, "This is a brand new thing, and I just solved a way, to make a character speak properly." And then you go back in time and you watch Ray Harryhausen, and you're like, "Oh, he already did that." Yeah, these are some great old films. And so I wonder if they have the tortoise and the hare on this one. This looks like this is just Rapunzel. But there's also, let's see, the tortoise and the hare. And this was partially done by Harryhausen and then partially done by Mark Caballero and Seamus Walsh, I believe. Let me see. Yeah. So the producers are Ray Harryhausen, Mark Caballero, and Seamus Walsh, and associates are Richard Jones, Fred Blassoff. Costumes by Martha Reski. Narrator is Gary Owens, and photographed in three-dimensional animation. Oh. Yeah, some of this stuff does look creepy for sure. But this one, not so much. The Tortoise and the Hare. So, Ray Harryhausen started this project in, I forget what year. Looks like 1952. And 50 years later, he went to Screen Novelties. That's the name of Mark and Seamus's company, which they don't mention here. Wow, that's crazy. This is really in the public domain. Really? That doesn't seem right to me. But anyways, so yeah, they helped Ray Harryhausen to finish this project, and they brought out all the old puppets and did the animation, helped him out. And we interviewed him. So if you guys look on our interviews section on our YouTube channel, you can listen to me talk to Mark. And Mark had some really cool stories about Ray and his phenomenal ability to animate like 10 seconds of animation in like 2 minutes. I mean, okay, he's not that good, but I mean, he's an extraordinarily fast animator. And I don't know what scenes Mark and Seamus and Harryhausen, Ray, did on this project, because they kind of kept it a secret. And so, I guess the reason why is they didn't want to sort of let people know who did what, because maybe people would find it divisive in some way, or I don't really know. But again, they use this technique of doing the cross dissolves with the faces. And these are not so creepy, they're more cartoony. And so Zeke is saying, did you know there was a maybe unused face that made it look like a character? No. I don't know about that one. But yeah, I mean, these are like some of the oldest puppets, to be taken out of storage and reanimated. And I'm not really sure if they used the same heads and stuff from original, like the original 1952, is it? Yeah, 1952 film, or if they made molds and cast new ones and repainted them, or what. But from what I remember, they did use the same techniques to make all the trees and stuff. So they rebuilt a lot of these sets, and they used I think it was like chicken wire, as well as plaster. I believe most of it was made with plaster, and it kind of gives it that look of bark, which, this is something that they did probably back in 1932 for King Kong, the original one. And a lot of those techniques were created by Willis O'Brien, who is considered like the grandfather of stop motion, at least in America. And I'm sure there's more grandfathers out there. Like if you go to probably the UK, they have their own grandfather of stop motion. You know, somebody that they've culturally, you know, seen lots of films and stuff. But and actually, you know, it's kind of weird to think that Nick Park will one day be considered a grandfatherly type stop motion person who, you know, because he's starting to get up there in age. But for sure, you can't take anything away from like the pioneers like Ray and Willis O'Brien. I mean, those guys, and Marcel Delgado, who made all the armatures for King Kong and various other films from before then. Like I think it was like was it The Land Before Time was one of the earliest ones that he worked on. Let me see if I can Marcel Delgado stop motion. Yeah, I'm not playing the audio on these because, like I say, YouTube has been so crazy with me lately. It's not nearly as fun to watch, but yeah, they don't have anything really. Sad to say, of Marcel. I've got pictures of him, and I can show you that, but anyways, so yeah, I don't know, guys. So there's just so many ways to make replacement faces and to animate them. But feel free to post that on our site when you're done and show us how you solved that particular problem. So Zombie Pirate Tales, when I worked on that, that was, you know, one of the ways I did things was just to do it with clay and silicone like this here. You can see the mold, which I cut open with a razor blade to get the faces out without destroying them. And that was a fun project to work on. And so here's one of the armatures as well. You can see this is how I constructed it with some epoxy and some wood. And I made some parts where you could pop the hands off and pop them back in and so forth as well. So I don't know, like I say, how you're gonna use armatures for your characters. So if you use ball and socket or, you know, anything like that, or if it's just gonna be all action figures. But if you do make armatures, this would be the way, you know, I would suggest. Because I know you mentioned using like a kind of cloth material, like bandages, you said, I think. So you might consider this way, because action figures sometimes don't hold up a lot of weight. That's another thing you might consider. And yes, it was just a silicone. It was a one that I got from, I think, Berman Industries. And I'm not sure what type of silicone this was, but it was actually great. Some of the silicones I've used, like the GI 1000, that stuff is good for a quick mold, but boy, that stuff leaches out oils over time, and your molds get sticky and yucky. And this stuff here is really super stable, but I don't remember what type it was. Ah, okay. So they have changeable hands. I see. Well, that's pretty cool. Yeah, if you can find something like that, that's going to be a great thing to animate. So I actually used replacement hands for my clay characters. So if you make a fist, you know, one of the things that they taught me when I went to Leviton Studios was that if you make a character and you want them to be expressive, but you don't want to have to resculpt the hands over and over again because of lots of, like if they move around a lot, the clay tends to crack. So if you make the fingers splay out and then come into a fist and then splay out again, a lot of times the clay just cracks and it's not so nice. So what you do is you sculpt the hand in a fist shape and then you pop it off when you're done animating it, you know, and then you pop on your hand which has the fingers slightly opened, pop that one off, and then pop on another one where the fingers are opened up all the way. And it prevents you from having to re-sculpt everything over and over. But if you have like a resin toy hand like that, that's great. You can get probably a lot more expression that way. And Omar says, I remember it like the cold silicone used for the puppets of Episode 7 on Star Wars. You know, most of the silicone out there is pretty similar for mold making. The shore hardness doesn't have to be super hard or super soft for molds. So, but there's a lot of variation in different companies that make it, but it all serves the same purpose. And as long as you can get silicone that is stable and lasts long enough to cast what you need, that's all you really have to do. So these pictures bring back a lot of memories, man. This is when I was living in Pennsylvania. I had all this stuff in the... I had rebuilt this garage all by myself to make a studio. It took me 6 months of working every single day. For 6 months I worked in there to get that to a usable studio. Only to have to leave because of they raised taxes. Unfortunately. So yeah, Ron's gonna keep his secrets on how he makes his armatures. He's gonna tease us. Yeah, Omar is saying, Ron, make a tutorial video. Get paid. Yeah, there's a lot of ways to do it. I think probably the way that Ron does it is to, in such a way that you use like one strand, you know, for as much as you can on the entire armature. That's what a lot of people are always trying to do. But yeah, there's so many techniques you can use. Yeah, I don't get too crazy with wire armatures. So that's about as complicated as mine are right there. And then I'll make the hands if I need to. Yeah, Ron. You should turn on monetization if you know you're getting lots of hits on your videos. I don't do it with mine only because I find the ads kind of annoying, and then also people will not watch my video if there's too many ads. Some of my videos are like 2 hours long, some of my tutorials. So, alright, well, thanks for stopping in. Yeah, it does conclude our show, and like I say, this will probably be the second to the last live show for some time. Like I say, just trying to, you know, get my life in order here because I've been so busy and I've been doing quite a lot of things for people, including volunteer work for a local temple, and just I'm stretched too thin to really put a lot of effort into my shows like I used to. And so hopefully, you know, we'll work something out in the future, but the website's going to stay and all that, so you guys don't have to worry about that. And I will see you all next week. See you all later.